Well, good morning, everyone. And once again, welcome to another live this morning. And hope you're having a great start to your day. And we like to say hello to a few friends as they come on here this morning. Okay, let me see here. Who's with us? Numero uno is, as you get Ibrahim, you're back at the top. How are you, my friend from Atlanta, excuse me, Andrea, Brahim from Portland, Oregon. Kathy, how are you? And Jude from Troy, New York. Madeleine, Kippawa, Quebec. And Rosa from Montreal. Nick from our staff, good morning. John, Elgin, Illinois. I don't know why I had that in my head this morning. Sandy, Fergus Falls, Minnesota. Lori and Ryan, Sarasota, Florida. How are you guys? Suzanne from Edmonton. Cecilia, Shediac, Nouveau Brunswick. Fran from Orangeville. Georgie, Halifax, Nova Scotia. Sandy, Chilliwack, British Columbia. Wendy from Markham. And Dave from Muskoka. And Cheryl, West Virginia. Edith, sunny Halifax. Millica, good morning, Stouffville. Rolly from England. Dada, Newfoundland, good morning. And Karen, Little Britain. Rosalinda, Niagara Falls, good morning to you. Chaz, from the hurting country of USA. Brahim, what are you saying there, Brahim? Sue, how are you? Karen, Peterborough. Sandy, change the schedule again. Johanna, Marianne, and Bruno. How are you, Bruno? And Carmel from Newfoundland. John, and Linda from Fenland Falls. Adeline, good morning. Deb from Timmins. Linda, Uppsala. Arlene, good morning. And Kevin, there you are, from Oshawa. Guylaine, Quebec City, bonjour. Beverly, Nouveau Brunswick. Wendy from London, good morning. And Marilyn, PEI. Luella, West Tennessee. Volita, or Vanessa, which one was it? Jazz. Brahim, daylight saving, yeah, early, eh? Francis, Paul, good morning. A couple of more guys and we get going. Rose from Brampton. And Judy, Nouveau Brunswick. And Dave, good morning from Cardiff. Carol, West Virginia. And Lorraine, Oshawa. John, good morning. Guys, we appreciate you guys coming on. Hi, Carol from Mount Pearl, Newfoundland. And Kathy from Simcoe, Ontario. I know I missed so many of you. And I don't mean to. Mary, New Brunswick, and Lorraine. British Columbia, that would be bright and early out there for sure. But let's get back to our questions that we didn't finish out. Sherry and Sharon, saying hello to you. Jessica is asking a question. As you age after 50 with the metabolism, is it easier to have fatty liver? For example, as a young person, can you get away with more treats? Well, probably a little bit more. As you age, of course, you don't break down food quite as well. Your metabolism, it's changes to some extent, and everybody notices that as you age, from digestion to metabolism, probably a little different. But at the end of the day, I mean, as kids, I never ever saw, well, as a matter of fact, it wasn't even in our textbooks, never saw fatty liver. Like in the 70s, the condition, if it existed, we didn't know about it. Now, we understood cirrhosis of the liver, but never understood fatty liver. And, the world has changed, right? And one of the biggest things that I talk about all the time is the change in sugar. They switched sugars. Now, some people don't think that's significant. I tell you, I'm always a why guy, okay? Here's me. I'm a why. If we have an epidemic of fatty liver today, and even in young people, why? Okay? So we're consuming close to 200 pounds of sugar a year on average for every individual in North America. Like, it's crazy. People don't read labels, or if they do, they look at calories. Or they look at, fat grams. I try and get people to look at how much sugar are they adding. And guys, I'm telling you, we have an epidemic today of fatty liver. And why is that? Well, we changed the amount of sugar we're consuming, plus, number two, we're consuming a different sugar, which is high fructose corn syrup. Now remember, when you hear the word fructose, fructose gets metabolized differently in your body. Fructose goes to the liver, okay, in nanoseconds. Unlike glucose, fructose, especially when it's consumed in a liquid. Okay, so when you hear the word fructose and high fructose corn syrup, syrup is a liquid heading right to your liver in nanoseconds. Okay, I'm not saying to eat a lot of ordinary sugary foods, but fructose is the worst, and it's the sugar of choice for the food industry. They invented it. High fructose corn syrup is an invention. It's not in nature. And you guys always hear me talking about eat fruit. I got no problem with people eating fruit. Okay? I call them God's candies. Enjoy. Not on the reset, but once you're done the reset for 30 days, you can have fruit. Okay? But don't drink it. That's the difference. When orange juice, which is the number one selling drink in North America. Don't drink orange juice. Eat an orange. God wanted you to eat candies, not to drink them. The worst thing you can do is drink high fructose corn syrup. And that's the problem in sodas and in the drinks and these specialty drinks and all this and that. They go right to your liver, my friend, and they pack up the liver with sugar, especially high fructose corn syrup, packs up the liver with fat. Thus, fatty liver. And you can empty your liver. This is why the reset is so good for you. You can empty that liver rapidly. Okay? So the question is asked, does it make a difference if you're young or old? Well, you probably get away with a little bit when you're younger, but kids today, they have no idea, because nobody's teaching them. Nobody's teaching them the importance of not drinking high fructose corn syrup in all those sodas and drinks. Plus, they're consuming, like I said, a dump truck load. I love to give history. 100 years ago, we weren't even consuming 5 pounds of sugar a year on average, individuals. In the 1950s, it went to, that's when I was a kid, 25 pounds. My kids, I always just go through the generations, okay? By the way, I became a great grandfather again. Okay? Number 6, great-grandfather on the weekend. Okay? But let me go through generations for you. Okay? Me, 1950s, born in 1952. The average North American was consuming in the 1950s way too much sugar anyways, but 25 pounds of sugar. Okay? Now, my kids, all 4 of my kids were born in the 1970s. Okay? And they were consuming, now it had gone from 25 pounds to 50 pounds, doubled. That's not good, right? But we didn't see fatty liver, even at 50 pounds. And then another generation comes and they're at near 200 pounds. My grandchildren, 200 pounds of sugar a year. Give or take a few pounds. That's crazy. Your body was never meant for that. Your pancreas can't deal with that. Your liver can't deal with that. Your body was never meant for that. And guys, come with me to a mall. Okay? Why do I say a mall? Well, we can sit there and we can watch people. Look at the size of people today. Okay? And when you see someone with belly fat, that's a sugar belly. That's what it is. And you can be sure there's fatty liver involved there. So that's what I'm saying. And I don't like to differentiate from kids from adults in that condition because kids got fatty liver and they have no idea that they have it. No one's talked to them about it. Even today in medicine, unless they do, for example, an ultrasound on the liver, they don't even think about fatty liver so much. They should. It's a serious condition. Fatty liver can affect your heart. What? Fatty liver can affect your heart. Why? Because you're out of fatty liver, when the liver is all gummed up. You know me, and I use the expression, the Costco parking lot. Okay? You ever gone to Costco? The parking lot is always full. Okay? Why? Why is the liver always full? Well, your liver is full of fat, not because you're eating fat, because you're consuming sugar, and again, especially high fructose corn syrup as sugar. That's the worst thing you can do for your liver. Okay? And when I was in school, like I said, we talked about cirrhosis of the liver, and that was alcohol-induced. But alcohol and fructose, they end up in the same destination, the liver. And fatty liver can eventually lead to cirrhosis of the liver. And it's very serious. And it elevates your triglycerides. And it lowers your HDL. And we have questions about that, so I'll answer it when we get there. But again, guys, the importance of laying off the sugars. If you do nothing else, thanks, Jessica. And Joni, I think. Joannie. No, it's Joni. I've never heard of Joannie. Joni. Wondering if it's safe for me to take cortisol control. Why not? You're 68 years old. Stress all your life. Made for you. You have Hashimoto's. That's what you're saying. Okay. Insomnia. Cortisol control's fantastic. One of our most popular products is cortisol control. We live in a different world. I wrote a book back in, what year was it? 2011? Serial killers, 2 hormones that want you dead. Cortisol and insulin. Like, was that prophetic or what? Like talking about 2 conditions that want to kill you. Insulin. Now you got to go back, 2011. What? Insulin. Yeah. Carbs. People are carboholics. It kills them. Because when you get insulin and insulin resistance, you're in trouble. It can lead to heart disease, cancer, stroke, Alzheimer's, diabetes, big time. And cortisol pours gasoline on the fire. Cortisol is a stress hormone. That's cortisol. And you don't want that being secreted. But people today, they got all sorts of cortisols coming out their ears. There's so much stress. We live in a different world, guys. We live in a different world. And there's so much stress. And I used to measure cortisol in my office. And I tell you, I couldn't get over it. How people were so stressed. And cortisol, what it does, okay, like it's the fight or flight. And it can mess up, if it's secreted for too long, it'll mess up your circadian rhythm. It'll mess up your immune system. It will create belly fat. It will give you brain fog. It will give you all sorts of symptoms. So yeah, for sure, get on our cortisol control. And how many people, by the way, just one of the lowest hanging fruits of cortisol is sleep. Because if your cortisol is high, you don't sleep. And if you don't sleep, your cortisol is high. It's a vicious cycle. And millions of people are in that cycle. And they have a hard time getting out of it. Okay, thank you for the question. Okay, Cheryl, don't be confused. Because Cheryl's asking, because I like the way you think, Cheryl. Okay, I do, because I know, and I got to explain this probably every Friday and sometimes on Monday again. And that is, people can't understand. If you go to any health food store, you're going to get the wrong answer on this, okay? Let me give you the right answer, because Cheryl's asking. Dr. Martin, if oil of oregano is an antibiotic by nature, which it is, okay? How can you take oil of oregano and a probiotic together? Won't they destroy each other? No, they don't. They work together very well, okay? And let me tell you why. Because oil of oregano is God's gift to mankind. In nature, an antibiotic, an antifungal, an antiparasitic. Okay? Think of that. Antibiotic, natural. Antifungal, natural. Do you guys know I talk about fungus every day? Parasites. People are talking about parasites. Some have said that parasites can be a cause of cancer. Possibly. I know people that say a fungus is at the root of every cancer. Mold. Possibly. But that's why I love oil of oregano. Because it's antifungal, antibiotic. It's nature's antiseptic, antiparasite. It's a wonderful product. And I talk about it all the time. I've been talking about it for years and years and years, centuries almost. Okay? That's how much I love oil of oregano. But you know what's so beautiful about oil of oregano? It don't kill your good guys. What? No, it's not like an antibiotic. The pharmaceutical's antibiotic. And by the way, if you need an antibiotic, a pharmaceutical antibiotic, hey, if you need it, take it. But understand this. If you take a pharmaceutical antibiotic, you're going to kill all of your good guys with it. This is why I talk about it all the time. You need a probiotic. And you should be on probiotics anyways. Everybody and their dog should be on probiotics. Everyone. We live in a world that you need probiotics. Okay? In my humble opinion. I mean it. It's a go-to. You need a probiotic. And you need a broad spectrum one. And you need a good one so that it replaces all the bacteria. And that, a probiotic, antifungal. Okay? Antifungal. Antiparasitic. Antitoxins. They chelate. Certain strains do different things. And they chelate heavy metals out of your body. So you want to take a probiotic and oil of oregano. Okay? Because, and they work together in combination. I've used it in my practice. I used it in my practice for, it seemed like a century, but I wasn't in practice that long, just a half a century. Okay? Thanks for the question, Cheryl. I like it because you're thinking. Okay? But our gift, God's gift to us, is oil of oregano. Okay? Beautiful. Okay, Caro. Okay. Pancreatic divisum. That is, you were born that way. Your pancreas is, the anatomy of your pancreas is different. But your pancreas is still working. And you're asking about EMC, eggs, meat, and cheese. Absolutely. Eggs, meat, and cheese is for everyone. Everyone. I recommend a reset for everyone. Why? Because it's good for you. Who doesn't need it in this day and age? Everybody needs a reset. Do a 30-day program. It'll change your life. It'll change your habits. It'll show you the relationship you have with food. What? Yeah. Because most people, if they never knew it before the reset, will know it after the reset. You know what? Me and carbs, we don't really get along. We got a bad relationship. I like them, but they don't like me. People find that out. Because they're carboholics and they did, maybe they knew it and maybe they didn't. But they find out, me and carbs, we don't get along that well. I feel a lot better when I change fuels. And I'm burning a different fuel. I love a high octane fuel. Eggs, high octane. Meat, high octane. Fish, high octane. Right? Cheese, dairy, not milk, but dairy. Yeah. Butter, yeah. I feel better. Somebody asked me the other day, butter? How can you have butter without bread? I put it on my steak. Pour butter on your steak and eat it. No, but seriously, guys, I'm not joking. That's the best food in the world for you. And when you do the reset, you find out. Some people have a little bit of trouble with the reset. They don't realize they're carboholics. My name is Tony, and I'm a carboholic. And their body says, what an adjustment. I've gone to high octane fuel. Boy, what a difference. And the body goes, yeah, I'm not used to this. high octane. Go to your airport near you. Look at the fuel trucks that are fueling the jets. It's not the same gasoline that you put in your car. Carbs give you fuel. 87 octane. Do you know what I mean by that? You know what it is today, okay? Why? Because we got to fill up our own cars. I mean, generally, right? I mean, there's so few gas stations left. You got to go fill up your own car. True or false? Yeah, true. Okay? And you look and it says 87 octane. And you go, okay, my car runs on that. Okay? I used to have a car that it said, don't put 87 in there, put 93, preferably 94, because it had a turbo engine in it. Okay. I didn't understand it so much, but that's what it said on my gas cap. Don't put 87. But guys, if you go to the airport and what's in the fuel trucks that they're bringing to those jets? It's jet fuel. You know what that is? It's 99% octane, not 87. And guys, that's the difference in fuel. Because you see commercials on TV, maybe you have, I certainly have, fruits and vegetables. They're the greatest thing. They're going to save your life. Fruits and vegetables. We even put them in powder so you can take them as capsules. Fruits and vegetables. Look, I'm not against fruits and vegetables. But if you think that's the best fuel for you, you're wrong. You're wrong. You're not going to get 99% octane from a fruit. Okay? Oh, Dr. Martin, it's an avocado. I don't care. I don't. I'm not saying you can't have avocados. I'm not saying you can't have fruit. I just talked about that. But you can't compare it to a steak or beef. Dr. Martin, salads, aren't they good for you? Well, they're good for rabbits. Rabbits like salad. You're not a rabbit. True or false? And you're not a cow either. Cow eats salad, so you don't have to. Okay. I'm not saying you can't have a salad, okay? You don't have 4 stomachs like a cow. Okay, let me answer another question. Thank you very much. And that was Carl. Laura, can you explain the numbers to divide the triglycerides HDL ratio again for our blood work, please? Laura, listen, let me make it really crystal clear and simple, okay? Don't get into the weeds, okay? Don't get into the weeds with your blood work. By the way, get my book, Sun, Steak, and Steel, and Sleep, okay? Why? Because there's a whole chapter in there, Lori, on how to interpret your blood work. It's so important, okay? I put it there, and I make it simple. KISS. I write with the KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid. Because I'm stupid. Okay? And it's really important to understand this. You want your triglycerides, fat balls. Triglycerides. 3 fat balls. You want those to be low. And you want your HDL to be high. Okay? Now, at least equal. But if your HDL is higher than your triglycerides, you're in good shape when it comes to your heart. That is a much better indication than any other test for your heart. Okay? And I'm not saying I love looking at blood work, but I look at blood work differently. I want your triglycerides to be lower than your HDL. And your triglycerides, and that'll tell you the condition of your liver pretty well too. So low triglycerides, higher HDL, not bad even if they're equal. But usually what happens, 90% of the population, or 93, they have high triglycerides and low HDL. Okay? So like I said, don't get into the weeds. When you get your blood work, really make sure you look at your triglycerides and your HDL. Because someone's asking, let me answer it right now. Okay. Karen. Or somebody else. Good day to all. Somebody's asking this. Explain the numbers to divide the triglycerides. Okay, there it is. The same question. Thank you, whoever that was. It might have been Karen, but I don't think so. Oh, Guylaine, if your triglycerides and HDL are good, how high can your LDL go? I don't care. The higher, the better. Everybody and their dog wants to get your LDL low. Okay, we've been doing that failed experiment for over 50 years. Let's get LDL cholesterol low. Okay, we did it, and what happened? Heart disease, worse than ever. We developed statin drugs, the #1 selling medication of all time. Did that help heart disease? Nope. Not even one bit. Why? Because it's looking for love in all the wrong places. Why do you want to lower your LDL? I used to ask that question all the time. Why do you want to lower it? Well, my doctor said. I know, but your doctor, I'm sorry, is wrong. LDL, you know what they're finding now? Especially as you get older. The higher your LDL, okay? The higher your LDL, the better your immune system works. The higher your LDL, the more your brain works. Yeah. Why do you want to lower it? It's not the cause of heart disease. High LDL is not the cause of heart disease. Like I said, if it was, we would have cured heart disease by now. Okay? Check your triglycerides and check your HDL. I don't care about total cholesterol. I don't care about I do care about LDL, but I want it to be high. Okay? There you go. Let me see. Almost done, I think. Okay, and this is Karen. Explain the pros and cons of mammogram versus thermography. Well, look. Now we're into some controversy, okay? Because, mammograms are so established as part of medical examination, examination and treatment for, not treatment, but examination and protocol for breast cancer, mammograms. Do I like them? I've never been a big fan, to be honest. Too much radiation. And listen to this, okay? Let me just say it. Okay? Too many false positives. Too many people, too many women have gone down the road of treating a little cyst or whatever in breast tissue, and because of a mammogram test, and then they do biopsy. And anyway, look, I don't want to get into it too much. Let me do a whole session on it. Look, I do this for information purposes only, okay? Because I can never tell a person not to have a mammogram. I won't do it. Okay, you got to make that decision on your own. Weigh the risks. There's a lot of information out there on mammograms. And To be honest with you, I like an ultrasound better. And I like, even an MRI better than a mammogram. Okay? But they don't do it routinely. They do mammograms. And there's a whole industry involved, and it's hard to change. Okay, now, thermography. I used to do thermography, but not as, look, I'm not saying that you can't even look at it. Thermography is a heat detector. It's an inflammation detector. And I used to use thermography in my office as a screening, but it wasn't to tell people not to get a mammogram. It was just probably an early detection of if you light. I used to see patients light up like a Christmas tree on thermography around their breast tissue. Okay, and then then you gotta you gotta just explore the other tests, and then I used to do thermography to measure estrogen. I had a very specialized estrogen detector for men and women. Okay? They don't do it so much. I don't know why. Because I like that. Okay? Women used to light up like leopard spots of so much estrogen on their body. Okay. Thank you for the question. And that was, who was that? Karen. Hi, Karen. Okay. Okay, couple of more guys and we're done. Caroline, is Advil as bad as Tylenol? Well, they're both, they both got their, here's me, it's a rule of thumb, okay? It's a rule of thumb. Tylenol, liver side effects. Advil, kidneys. Now they can do both, and Tylenol's mostly liver. And I talked about Tylenol the other day. There's a new study out on how it destroys your glutathione, your Velcro inside your bloodstream to take out toxins. So don't live on Tylenol and don't live on Advil. You'll destroy your kidneys. Okay? But anyway, Caroline, that was a good question. Okay. Another Cheryl. There's two Cheryls, okay? Can you have shingles without pain? I've seen it. Shingles is no fun. Herpes zoster, okay? It's when the chickenpox virus gets activated. That's shingles. Usually, almost invariably, after stress. Shingles is a perfect storm, okay? It's very stressed. And your immune system is diminished, your cortisol is high, and shingles can manifest themselves, come out. No fun under the sun. Okay? And Cheryl, another Cheryl. Okay, and this is the last one. My legs feel so heavy. I did the 7 days of reset, take Navital and DHA. What can this be? Well, you're 79 years old, Cheryl. You're still a young chicken, 79. Okay? Heavy legs. Usually, when I was in practice, heavy legs, usually low iron. Okay? Low B12 can give you heavy legs. Eat more steak. Okay? You might need our multi-nutrient. Used to be called Blood Boost. Builds up that ferritin and your iron levels in your blood. That's usually what happens with heavy legs. Okay. Thanks, guys, for all the questions. We love you dearly. Tomorrow morning session again, okay? So we love you dearly. We'll talk to you soon.